What if the procrastination, the perfectionism, and the self-sabotage aren't proof that you're lazy or broken? What if they're signs that your nervous system is trying to protect you from a future it doesn't yet recognize as safe? Because success isn't just about reaching a goal, it's about becoming someone new. And maybe that's what this work is really all about. It's not losing the weight, it's not making the money, it's not building the business, but becoming the version of yourself who knows she can handle all of it. And when you begin to trust that version of yourself, success stops feeling scary. It starts feeling inevitable. Welcome to the Balanced, Fit, and Free podcast. I'm Rayanne Mullins, and this season, we're talking about the deeper side of wellness, mental health, emotional patterns, self-awareness, alignment, and what it truly means to live well from the inside out. Because real health isn't about perfection. It's about becoming stronger, more intentional, more authentic, and more free. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Balanced, Fit, and Free podcast. I hope that today I find you well, and I hope that you enjoy this topic today. I think it's really an important one, and I do believe that we talked about this before several seasons ago, but it's just really been on my mind lately, so I thought I would bring it up again. And what we're talking about today is the fear of success. The fear of success. We've all heard, people being afraid of failing, but I actually believe the fear of success might be more prominent. So let's dive in today. Have you ever noticed that, sometimes you're your biggest obstacle? Have you ever noticed that? You want the thing, right? You want to do something, right? You want to lose the weight. You want to earn more money, you want to start the new business, you want to start a new big project or find a healthier relationship or even fix your own relationship. You want to write the book, launch a podcast, apply for the job, go after your dream, okay? But then something strange happens. You get close. You might even get really, really close. And then suddenly you stop. You procrastinate. You lose motivation. You get distracted. You convince yourself that now just may not be the right time, okay? Or you find yourself right back where you started. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, both in my own life and just kind of watching some of the women and people that I've worked with recently. And actually not even just recently, I was thinking about clients in the past who are just like crushing it, getting closer to their goal, and then they disappear. This is very, very common, okay? And what I've realized, is that many of us don't really actually have a fear of this failure, like I was saying earlier. We have this serious fear of success. And today, I think we need to talk about what that means, why it happens, and just how to break free from it, or at least begin the process of breaking free from it. Because what if the thing standing between you and the life that you really want isn't failure at all, right? What if you're just afraid that you might succeed? So imagine this, okay? Let's have a little analogy here. Imagine that you've spent years daydreaming about your dream house, okay? You go for drives around the neighborhoods, you look at pictures online, you even maybe make a vision board, you save ideas, you have a Pinterest board of how you're going to decorate the living room and what you're going to do in the kitchen and what color of paint. You imagine just what it would be like to live there, and you're so excited, and you just know one day you're going to do it. Well, then let's say the perfect house becomes available, right? This opportunity comes. The house can be yours, but instead of excitement, you feel fear and anxiety. Because now you have to do it. You have to pack. You have to leave the neighborhood that you've always known. You have to learn new streets. You have to meet new neighbors. You have to create new routines. Even if the house is objectively better, right? You're still leaving behind what is familiar. Success works in the exact same way. We think we're afraid of moving forward, but often we're grieving the comfort of what we've always known. even if what we've always known isn't exactly serving us or isn't exactly what we want, okay? Sometimes success feels like we're gaining something and more like leaving behind an old version of yourself. So, what then is the fear of success? Fear of success is when you consciously want something, but unconsciously resist it. Okay, so your mind might say, "Ooh, I really, really want this. I really, really want this. This is all I've ever wanted." But another part of you is saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure you really can do that? Are you sure you really want that? Maybe you don't really want that." Psychologists have studied this concept for decades. So, research suggests that people often avoid success because they fear the consequences that might come with it, right? We all think we want this big thing, but in the back of our mind, we're like, ooh, but if I do this, then what are the consequences? That might be judgment, it might be criticism, it might be pressure, could be more responsibility, or even changes in relationships. So, in other words, we don't fear success itself. We fear what success might cost us. And that's where things get really interesting, okay? So as I'm talking through this, I have some notes I'm going to be reading because I realized that I just can't remember everything I want to say. So I have to read my notes, okay? But as I'm going through this, I want you to really think about what I'm saying and really think about where in your life this might be showing up, okay? And it might be showing up more than you even realize, all right? So why we fear success? Number one reason, or a reason, is success changes your identity. Okay? One of the biggest reasons people resist success is because success changes who they believe they are. So think about it. Maybe you've spent many years being the overweight one, okay, just to put it bluntly, or the struggling one, or the people pleaser, or the one who always puts everybody first, or the person who's trying. Like, I try so hard, the trier. That's me, by the way. I was like that a lot. But what happens when you actually hit the thing? What happens if you actually become healthy? What happens when you finally become confident? What happens when you become successful, lose the weight, get the new job, right? Now you have to let go of the old identity, okay? And believe it or not, that can feel really scary because even painful identities, even identities and feelings that weren't good are still familiar. Our brains love familiar, okay? Familiarity is what our nervous system actually craves. So if you've identified with struggle for years, success may feel like stepping into completely unknown territory. Okay, your body and your brain actually don't mind the struggle anymore because it's what it knows. Okay, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, right? But think about it. Thinking about actually getting to the place you want to get to is scary because who will you be then? Okay. Another reason people fear success is success means being seen. All right, this is a really big one, especially, well, I was going to say especially for women, but not necessarily. I think it's really true for anybody. Many people aren't afraid of making money. Okay. I mean, who wouldn't want extra money laying around, right? Or in your accounts? Nobody, right? Many people aren't afraid of losing weight specifically. The actual act of losing weight isn't really that hard. And you probably want to shoot me right now if you're somebody who's really wants to lose weight and haven't. But the actual act of losing weight isn't really that hard. What people are afraid of is, what other people might say after they lose the weight, after they get a better job, after they get the bigger house. What are people going to say about you and your new identity? Questions begin to surface like, will people judge me? Will they think I've changed? Will they expect more from me, right? Will I disappoint them? Success often will bring more visibility, okay? And visibility can feel super vulnerable. It honestly is easier to just stay unseen. And this is something, I have a personal story about this, but It's something I watch women, especially in the weight loss where, I've spent many years in helping people lose weight. And although that's not really my goal anymore, I mean, if this kind of talk helps you to lose weight, great. But, I don't spend my time with clients anymore talking about their weight as much. But it was always so intriguing to me how many women would start to lose weight and then they would stop, or they would start coming up with all kinds of excuses. And it took me a really long time to figure it out. And then not too long ago, I was talking with another woman who was also a trainer, nutrition coach, mindset coach. And we both have been through a big weight loss. And that is what prompted our, being in this field. And we were talking about, we were trying to remind each other what it felt like after we finally hit success, like when we finally got to the point where we had lost the weight, we were living the lifestyle we always wanted, and what it felt like. And we both agreed that at first it was really uncomfortable because things like attention, like getting attention from men in the store, or salespeople, like giving you more attention than they ever have before, or people making comments, people, especially at clothing stores, coming up and helping you find clothes. Whereas when I was overweight, nobody helped me. It was almost like as soon as I lost weight, I was all of a sudden more visible. And honestly, that was annoying. On one hand, it was like, oh, now I'm good enough to talk to. Oh, now it was kind of a hard thing, actually. It was a little frustrating that, people didn't see me before. And I hate to say it, but it is what it is, And in fact, that's something to think about too, is how do you treat overweight people versus people who aren't? Are you doing that to people? You might be and not even know you're doing. So anyway, I didn't mean to get off track on that. But my point is, when we have success, we are more visible. You make more money, more people will appear. Which, it is just the truth. If you lose weight, you're going to be hit on more. If whatever the thing is, you're going to be seen more. And that is super uncomfortable and makes many people not want the success because it's, like I said, easier to stay hidden and to be avoided. It really is. But it's not as fun. So anyway, third reason we fear success. Success creates responsibility. Let's be honest. Sometimes success feels heavier than struggle. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird, but think about it. Success can feel heavier than struggle. Hey ladies, I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. If you've been saying to yourself, I know I need to strength train, but I just can't stay consistent, or I'm not really sure what to do. Well, I created the Balanced Fit and Free Strength membership for people just like you. We meet live 3 mornings a week on Zoom for a simple and effective workout that helps you progressively get stronger, because random workouts just aren't working. You'll get guidance, accountability, breath work, coaching, and a supportive community of women all working toward feeling stronger physically and mentally. We have live and replay only memberships available. You can check the show notes for the link to learn more. Now back to the show. When you're trying to lose weight, you can always say, oh, well, I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I'm trying. But what happens when you actually lose the weight? Now you have to maintain, and that takes responsibility. That takes work, right? And I just want to point this out. A lot of people in the world think if I could just lose weight, then my life will be easier. But you have to maintain the weight loss. It's not like a magic day where you hit the weight loss and then you never have to do it again. I mean, it's like a constant, you have to stay on it. And sometimes people are like, you know what? I'd rather just stay overweight and not have to worry about it. Okay? Same with money. Let's say you have a business and it starts doing really well. Guess what? You got to keep it up. You got to keep it up. You got to find the new clients constantly. You got to find the new customers. You got to keep it going. It's responsibility. Okay. So when you're trying to, I just said that, grow your business, you could also just say, as a business owner who hasn't really made it successfully yet, you can be like, I'm getting there. I'm still trying. Trying is such an interesting word to me. Trying is almost like an out, and I remember one time I had a woman come to me for personal training, and she was like not wanting to go up to the next level. And she was like, I'll try it. But then she wouldn't do it. And I'm like, I feel like try is a cop out. Just do it, right? Just do it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Once you have this success, right, whether it's with your business, a job, your body, you have to maintain it. And now you have to keep leading this new identity, okay? So success removes some of the excuses that have protected us for so long, and that can feel really, really uncomfortable. And I've probably told this story before, and it's funny because every year that I get further away from owning my fitness studio, which I mean, it's been 10 years now, like get over it, man. It was just such a huge thing in my life. And actually I've been thinking about it lately for whatever reason, and that's kind of helped prompt this episode. But, I remember when I opened the studio, I had no idea what I was doing. Like I understood fitness, but I didn't know a darn thing about business and how to do it. And I remember my husband saying to me, well, at least you'll always know you tried. At least you'll know you always tried. And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, at least I tried it. But I was already, by saying that, I was almost already like giving myself the out to not keep it up, to say I tried it and then close. And, it's really funny when the studio, I went through several issues with it, but when I finally got into this nice rhythm, I had a great system going, I had good people working there. We were like, things were flowing, things were good, and it actually would be considered successful. I threw in the towel, right? I started to find all of the reasons that I didn't want the studio anymore. I started making excuses. And I think looking back now, I wonder, how much of it was the fear of the studio doing well and me actually having to keep it up. Like, I think that was so scary to me. And so it was easier to be like, well, I tried and just brush it off, So where in your life are you doing that? Think about that. Okay. The fourth reason people fear success is that success, I'm having a hard time saying that word, can trigger guilt. What? So I see this all the time too. Women finally start prioritizing themselves. They set boundaries. They take care of their health. They pursue their goals. They ask for what they need finally. And then the guilt shows up. And why? Why do we have guilt over this? Because many of us were taught that being selfless was virtuous, right? The virtuous woman was selfless and took care of everybody else, right? That putting ourselves first was selfish. That staying small was actually humble and such a good thing to do. That we shouldn't outshine other people. But there's a huge difference, I just want you to know, between arrogance and living up to your potential. And I think a lot of women confuse the two. And I think I did for a really long time. And I'm going to go back to my weight loss. When I lost weight and I started to wear clothes that showed my figure, and I almost was embarrassed. I almost felt guilty that I felt confident, and I didn't want anyone to know that I felt confident. It was this weird flip in my brain. It was like I couldn't wait to lose the weight. I did it, and I was so proud, and I wanted to help other people do it, but yet I would hide myself because I didn't want to act like I was showing off. I didn't want to be arrogant. I didn't want to be cocky. I didn't want anyone to think that I thought I looked great. So I tried to stay very humble, and that actually just made it even harder to get clients, because then I started to be like, well, I don't want to talk to this person about weight loss because I don't want her to think I think she needs to lose weight and that I'm better. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying. It just shows how our brain is wired. It's like, especially as women who were taught to never be too showy, or, you didn't want to be the snobby one. So it's like we actually put ourselves down. We dim our light because we're afraid of other people feeling bad. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, you can live up to your potential, and you can be successful, and you can love your life without being arrogant and without hiding it. Okay, all right. The fifth reason, I am getting way off track today, sorry. The fifth reason people fear success is that success can threaten relationships. And it's kind of the same idea of what I was just talking about. But sometimes that means, we change. Because when you hit your success in whatever area it is in your life, you change. And not in a bad way, but you up-level your life, right? And change makes other people uncomfortable. And so you might worry, just like I was talking about, what if my friends don't relate to me anymore? What if they don't like me anymore because we don't have anything to talk about? That's kind of an irrational fear, by the way. What if people think I've changed too much and don't want to talk to me anymore? What if my family doesn't understand what I'm doing and disowns me? Like, our brain goes really worst case scenario, by the way. What if I just outgrow my relationships? I've actually had women say that to me. And I keep using overweight as my examples because that's where the majority of my work has come from, is working with people on their weight loss. So I've had actual women who are, overweight, who really want to get healthy and lose weight, but their husbands also are overweight and need to get healthy and lose weight, but the husbands aren't into it. So I've actually had women say to me, I'm afraid if I lose weight, I won't love my husband and I will want a new relationship. And so they're like, so I'm just not going to lose weight because I'm afraid that this might happen. Nobody says it's going to happen, right? But we have these fears in our body and in our brain that come about when it comes to any kind of change, okay? So the truth is that belonging is one of our deepest human needs. We want to belong with our friends. We want people to love us and accept us, and we need to be a part of a pack, right? And if your nervous system believes that success might cost you this connection and these relationships, it may unconsciously resist the success, resist the change, resist the action you need to take to hit your goals, okay? And it's not because you're, trying to sabotage yourself purposefully. It's your way of your nervous system protecting you. It's protecting you from not belonging, from, all of the things we just talked about. So let's look at the nervous system's role. This is where, I actually think it gets really powerful to understand your nervous system and its role in your body. Your nervous system does not care whether something is good or bad. It cares whether something is familiar. So let me say that again. Your nervous system doesn't ask you, is this good for me? No, it asks, have I survived this before? So if you've spent years with your struggling, then struggling becomes familiar, right? If you've spent years doubting yourself, doubt actually becomes familiar. If you've spent years playing small, guess what? Playing small feels safe and it feels better to your nervous system. So success, growth, confidence, and visibility may actually feel threatening, not because they're dangerous, right? But because they're unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can trigger anxiety. So this is why some people sabotage themselves right before a breakthrough, okay? Not because they don't want the outcome, but because their body hasn't yet learned that the outcome is safe, all right? This is interesting. This made me think of something. I was listening to another podcast, the John Deloney Show. Talk about a great podcast. That's like super good. Check it out. People call in and he's a something. He's a psychologist maybe, or psychiatrist or therapist. I don't know. Something like that. And I'm listening to all these kinds of shows and watching TV shows and stuff like that because I'm so invested in becoming a good therapist. Anyway, to the point. He had somebody call in who was trying to break their gambling addiction. And what I thought was really interesting is that this guy said that he actually starts to crave the losses sometimes more than the wins. Okay, so this guy's a gambler. He's feeling upset that he's like hurting his family because he doesn't have any savings for the kids. He doesn't have any savings for retirement, because he keeps blowing all his money on gambling. And he actually admitted that the wins felt more comfortable than the losses. No, excuse me, I said that backwards. The losses feel more comfortable than the wins, okay? So the wins were scary because the wins led to more behavior of trying to stop. So the familiarity of losing was actually more comfortable, okay? I hope I said that all right. But it was super interesting to me, and it really just kind of plays into what I'm talking about today. It's like if you are familiar with something, any kind of change is scary, good or bad. Okay. So what does fear of success actually look like? How does it like show up in your life? How do you know if you're doing this? Well, it may look like starting and stopping over and over, like starting that diet every Monday. And by Wednesday, you're like, forget it, right? It could be just never finishing projects. Maybe you have a million projects around your house that you've started that just you never finish, okay? Maybe you're always looking for the perfect time to make a change, right? Like, well, I can't do that in the summer because it's too hot. Exercise in the summer is just miserable. I can't start a workout program. It's just too hot. I actually hear that. Or, oh, we're going on so many trips this summer. I'll wait till the fall to start eating healthy. Things like that. Like always waiting for the perfect time. P.S. Never a perfect time for any of these things. It's just, there never, ever, ever will be a perfect time. Also, it may look like perfectionism itself. Like maybe you always are like waiting to do something, or like you work on something until it's perfect, and it just never gets done because it's never going to be perfect, right? That was me for a long time with programs. Overthinking, just overthinking before you ever make a decision, okay? Constantly preparing, but never launching, okay? I did this forever. Have I ever told you that I have about 6 really, I must say, really good programs that I've written that I've just never launched, that I've never tried to get people to do? Because guess what I kept doing? I kept making them better, making a little better, a little better, a little better. And I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours, years probably, on these programs that nobody's ever seen. It's ridiculous, right? But they're still there. I might do them someday. Who knows? And so you can see that I fall into all of this. Like, I'm not trying to be like, tell you how to do it right. Like, I'm doing it right. I'm just saying this is all stuff I've lived through and I'm still living through. And I want to just get better with you. Okay. Anyway, getting close to a goal and suddenly losing momentum, or just deciding that you're not interested anymore, is a huge sign that you might be afraid or having fear of success. Okay. So do you recognize yourself in any of this? And anything that I've talked about today? Do you recognize anything? Because like I just said, I know that all different points of my life, something I've talked about today, I totally resonates. Like so many different areas and times in my life I can look back over the years and see, oh, that younger Rayanne, she was so afraid of success that she held herself to be so small for so long, so quiet, so good, so yes, ma'am, yes, and that's just, life is too short is my point. So let's talk about 5 ways to break out of the fear of success. Number 1, get honest about what you're afraid of. Like, what are you really, really afraid of? Okay. Ask yourself, if I actually succeeded, what am I afraid would happen? And maybe you've never thought of it that way. Maybe you're always thinking it the other way. Maybe you're always thinking, oh gosh, like if I don't make more money, this is going to happen. If I don't lose the weight, this is going to happen. How about flip it? Flip it. What if you actually succeed? What are you afraid might happen? Don't judge it, by the way. Write it down. Like, get out some paper and start writing down every irrational thought that you have of you succeeding. What could be scary? Okay. So you might discover things like people will judge me. I'll have more responsibility. I'll lose relationships. I'll have higher expectations. I have to do more. Okay. Those might be things that come up for you. But remember, awareness is always the first step. Okay. So what is the fear behind you not succeeding? Succeeding. Okay. What is holding you back from making change in your area and the areas of life that you want to change? Is it some of these things? Think about it. Okay. Number 2, teach your body that success is safe. Remember, we were talking about how your nervous system likes familiarity. And so when something new happens, your nervous system perks up and is like, whoa, what's going on here? What's going on here? So spend a few minutes just imagining yourself succeeding. Something as small as imagination, visualization can actually help your nervous system get used to the vision, get used to the feeling, so that when you start to have more success, you won't resist it so much. Okay? It seems too simple, but it really, really can work. So picture yourself being healthy. Picture yourself like, do you want to lose weight or do you want to get stronger? Whatever the thing is, health-wise, see yourself every day. Just imagine it. Just imagine that person, you as that new version. Just imagine it. Sit with it. What would it feel like? How could you actually feel inside if you were there? What would it be like to be you in this different version? Okay? Picture yourself being confident. Picture yourself being financially secure or financially abundant. Picture yourself living the life that you say you want. And while you're doing this, while you're like in this visualization mode, just like daydream, full on daydream, go for it. It's so good for us to do that. While you're in that daydream and you're imagining and you're like really bringing up how it could feel to be that person, notice what happens in your body. Okay, if you start to feel tension, you're going to get signals from your body of what is good and what is not good. So you might feel like, I don't know if you know where your solar plexus is, but that's kind of like the upper belly, and that's like your power center. And if you start getting kind of like a feeling in there, it could mean a couple things. It could mean that you're afraid of your own power. It could also mean that it's igniting. And when you're visualizing yourself in this new successful position, wherever that is, whatever it is, whatever version of success, it could be that your solar plexus is like, I want this. Okay, so don't take all tension in your body as a bad thing. Take it as signs. Okay. All right. Just remember, anytime you have a visualization of something and you get a sensation in your body, follow it, breathe into that space, and get curious. Like, what is it? Why do you feel that way? A lot of people get the feeling and then they stop because they're like, I didn't like that feeling. You got to get curious. You got to explore the feelings. Those feelings are going to be your roadmap to what is next. Okay. It's really important to just like sit with these feelings, right? I said to breathe into it. You can breathe into the feelings, sit with them, but remind your nervous system that success is not a threat. Okay. It's okay for your body to relax a little bit. It's okay for your nervous system to let you dream a little bit. So daily visualization can help you get more comfortable with what is possible. The more you envision it and teach your nervous system that it's safe, the more likely you'll be able to push forward and reach the success that you've been seeking. Okay. Number 4, take small steps. Okay. Small steps, like not just towards the goal, but towards visibility. Okay. You don't have to leap. You don't have to be like, well, I'm quitting this job and I'm going to search for a new job. You don't have to take grand gestures. Just start like showing up at maybe networking events where the people where you want to work show up. Like just start being visible. Do one thing at a time. Okay. Start small. If you want to get stronger, go to a gym where there's strong people. Show up. Even if you're not as strong as them yet, you got to show up. You got to be you got to be there and be in the area of the people that you want to be like, and that will become your new crowd, will become your new belonging, will become your group, your vibe. Okay. Doing small things like planning, like I said, a workout, or even just 2 days of healthy eating. Post a video of yourself singing if you want to be a singer, right? Send an email out to your friends asking them to come test out your new recipe that you want to start making and selling. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But, do things. Apply for a new job. Apply for the promotion. Share your opinion more. Just start being more visible. And that the more you're more visible, the more your nervous system will be like, okay, we don't mind a little bit of this risk. It's okay. It's okay. And the more you do it, and the more you practice, the better it gets. And then pretty soon you're doing it again and a little bit more and a little bit more, because these small actions create evidence that you're safe. And over time, confidence will grow. So each win is like telling your nervous system that it's okay to loosen its grip on you. All right. Okay. Number 4, talk to those people that you are afraid of losing if you succeed. Okay. This might be a tough one. It's likely that, you're afraid somebody might not want to be with you or like you anymore if you succeed at whatever. Okay. Like we were talking about earlier. So it's likely that they want you to succeed, right? And honestly, if they don't want you to succeed, do you really want to be in their presence? Like, do you want to be around people that don't want to see you succeed? I mean, that's a really big question. And so sometimes I think we know the answer. I think we know sometimes that we're around people that do hold us back. And again, it's familiar, so we stick there. But maybe that's where the risk needs to come in, is like find a new tribe. Find people that do want to see you success. Okay? But I will tell you this. So on the flip side of that, I've learned that most people do want to see you succeed, but they want to protect themselves and those that they love. So what I mean by that is, like, if your friends try to stop you from taking a risk or stop you from doing something that you really want to do, it's really not about their faith in you. It's their protection. They're protecting you. And if it's something that they would never do, they are going to try to protect you even harder. Because a lot of other people, it's not that they don't believe in you. It's just people don't like to see their people fail. Okay, so your friends might have more of a fear of you failing when you're over here having a fear of success. So that combination keeps us down. So I'll share this with you. I host something called the Mountain Challenge. And if you don't know about it, come on, check it out. It's fun. And the first year I did it, which was just last year, I had so many people tell me it was a terrible idea. So many people were trying to get me not to do it. And honestly, it made me pause because I'm like, well, I really care what these people think. Like, why are they telling me it's such a terrible idea? And then I realized something. I realized that they just didn't want to do it. And I think they felt guilty not doing something and supporting me. So they were trying to talk me out of doing it. So this really had nothing to do with me, had nothing to do with the event. It had something to do with them. So we have to be really super careful when we listen to people around us. What is their fear, right? What is their fear around what you're trying to do? So a lot of times it really has nothing to do with you, and it has more to do with them, okay? Number 5, stop waiting to feel ready. This may be the most important tip I can give you today. Most people believe that confidence comes before action, but actually confidence comes from action. Every successful person that you admire felt scared at some point, right? We see these people like crushing it in life, right? And we're like, wow, how do they do it? How do they do it? They were scared too. They just learned that they needed to act anyway, right? So you don't need certainty. You just need willingness. You just need to be willing to try something that feels uncomfortable, okay? So stop waiting to feel ready. Just go ahead and take that jump. Take that jump. All right, I want to leave you with this question. What if you're not afraid of failing? What if you're afraid of becoming the person who succeeds? What if part of you already knows you're capable? What if the procrastination, the perfectionism, and the self-sabotage aren't proof that you're lazy or broken? What if they're signs that your nervous system is trying to protect you from a future it doesn't yet recognize as safe? Because success isn't just about reaching a goal, it's about becoming someone new. And maybe that's what this work is really all about. It's not losing the weight, it's not making the money, it's not building the business, but becoming the version of yourself who knows she can handle all of it. And when you begin to trust that version of yourself, success stops feeling scary. It starts feeling inevitable. So you guys, thank you so much for being here today. If this episode resonated at all with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, post it on social media, or just send me a message and tell me what stood out the most to you. I'd love to hear from you. I think a lot of you were used to me sharing more tips about nutrition and fitness, and so this may seem off or whatever, but, I'm just taking a risk and seeing, how this will go this season. And I definitely want you to hear this and to start implementing whatever resonates with you. I really hope that it'll impact you in a positive way. Okay? So thanks again for being here, and I will catch you next week. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Balanced, Fit, and Free podcast. I hope this episode helped you feel a little more aware, aligned, and supported on your wellness journey. Remember, true health isn't about perfection. It's about living in alignment with yourself and creating a life that feels balanced, grounded, and free. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, share this episode, and I will see you next time.